Hello everybody. This is a special edition of Meep Radio. I am using a computer that is not mine. I'm still waiting on the mail for my other charger. And just a little topic that I wanted to do was some internet hate on some people, mainly people with dreadlocks. Um, now I heard about this one video that a lot of people are talking about, and it's one where somebody said, white people can't have dreadlocks. In one of my older videos, I've discussed the topic of racism, and I've discussed that racism as a whole is just a bunch of bullcrap, and that really, it doesn't make any sense. It's not real. What actually is real is the idea of hatred, and people, people hating people, that's really all that it is. Racism does not exist because, fundamentally speaking, there is no difference. We are humans. We live on the earth. There is no difference between races. Okay, so just because of affirmative action, it does not mean that there is race. Just because, you fill out your application form and it says which race are you? Are you Caucasian? Are you Pacific Islander? Are you African American? Are you whatever? Latino, Asian? These terms are so broad, and these terms are just so fallacious. They're full of fallacy. That's what fallacious means. Um, they're full of inherent untruth. And here at Meep Radio, mine's exploring every possibility. And Meep Truth Radio on Facebook, that is the mission of Meep Radio, is to expose the truth for what it is, expose the lies for what they are, and to bring the truth to you. So now, in this one, I'm just going to talk briefly about dreadlocks. Okay? Bear with me. I know when I say brief, it normally means a half an hour, but I don't really have that kind of time today. So, obviously, I have dreadlocks. They are babies. They're only about a month or so old. Um, the method that I chose was a mix between twist and rip and neglect. So basically what that means is that I loosely sectioned my hair. I just kind of took the sections that were already there, already present, and I just took a section like, let's see here, like this guy, for example. I took the different sections, twisted it, pulled it back up. That was that. Only did it like once or twice, and I just left it there. And they're only a couple months old, and this is what I ended up with. Now, there are some people that will tell you that if you are not from Africa, then you don't have real dreadlocks. Well, mostly, unless you have immigrated to the Americas or the United States of America, if you happen to be of African descent, then you're American too. I don't care. I don't care where you're from. Hair is hair, okay? And one genetic background doesn't lock versus another genetic background matting. It doesn't make any sense. The only hair that would mat is like cat hair because of the way that they bathe, and they have roughened tongues, and when they bathe themselves, they lick themselves, separating the hair. Now, if they miss a spot or it gets dirty or it just locks up and whatever, cat hair is very, very, very thin and very coarse in some cases, very thin and light in other areas. So, like, for example, my cat, he's a Siamese and tiger mix. So his fur is generally on the shorter side, and it's kind of in the middle in its coarseness. It's kind of soft, but at the same time a little bit coarse. So he never really had an issue with matting. However, if you had like a cat, like a Himalayan cat, something that was more long-haired, they have a harder time bathing themselves. So they have a harder time getting the bristly tongues in between all those hairs and separating them. So they will what's known as a hairball or a mat clump, M-A-T-T-E, clump. Now, the difference really being between a matted hair section and a dreadlock is that we normally refer to animal hair as being matted and human hair being dreadlocked, unless you're looking to insult someone and then you say, well, your head is just a matty mess, or your hair is a matted mess, however you choose to go about it. In my case, because I had really long hair when these things started, They didn't mat. They didn't really get flattened. They didn't have the crazy zigzaggy things you might see in what if you did a Google search for neglect dreadlocks. That's normally what you would find, especially more along the back of the head. I'll show you a couple of mine from the back. They do have some loops. They do have some sections like that. And that's simply because, let's say that this is the hair. Okay, so I have 8 hair shafts. As one side begins to pull up, the other side will bend. Then this side will pull up and this side will bend. And this side will pull up and this side will bend, and so on and so forth until they become a locked knot. Now, I guess one of these videos that people are talking about, oh, those aren't real dreadlocks, that's one where um, this lady had them for like 10 years or something, and she decided to comb them out, which it is not impossible to comb out your hair, no matter the coarseness or the thinness or the smoothness or whatever. You can still comb out your hair eventually if you really try hard enough. Chemical conditioners are designed to penetrate the shaft of the hair and smooth the cuticle. Now, if you imagine on the top of a typically roofed house, it's shingles. One proceeds to the next, and the next, and the next, and the next, so on and so on. The same thing works in human hair as well as animal hair. So up and down the hair shaft, like if you're traveling down the hair shaft, what you'll notice is that it goes like this, all the way down. So when you have exposure to really cold water, the hair shaft will go yoink and shut. If the hair is exposed to really warm water, it'll go and all the cuticles open up like that. So Lois, so the hair shaft opens up. That's why when we're gonna have rain or you have like a bad hair day, it's usually because there's more humidity in the air, so it's warmer, wetter air in the yeah, warmer, wetter air. The hair reacts to that air and goes and opens up, creating frizziness, which, as you can tell, I have a little bit here, a little bit of frizziness. Who cares? Um, so because of this fact, the cuticles will then interact with one another and begin to pull themselves in closer. A couple of the natural ones that I had that just, formed on their own is like this guy right here. This guy formed on his own. And it has some, so-called like thin spots or whatever, but it's still locking. It's a couple of months old. But, it's a natural thing. And I don't care where you're from, what your name is, what your last name is, what your middle name is, who your daddy was, who your mommy was, who your great-grandfather was. I don't really care, because hair is going to lock if you leave it be. Before the point when we had brushes and combs, hair naturally did just lock the way it does now. It's it's a proven fact. You leave it the way it is, blown out of the wind. You have different temperature changes, especially in more temperate climates when you have humidity levels and lower humidity levels. In an area where it was more desert, you'd probably have a harder time finding people's hair that naturally locked up as tight because if you have a constant temperature all the time and without exposure to drying substances like salt water or something like that, more like in the rainforest, if you see these people that live in the rainforest and they're indigenous peoples, sometimes they have longer hair, sometimes they don't. And it is a knotted, crazy mess sometimes, but other times it's so short that it's not going to happen. And also, the body will not allow it to lock up and mat like this because they need the heat ventilation. But more than that, I have seen that sometimes they will condition their hair. They put things in their hair like fruit paste and things because it will condition the hair, allow them to smell better for initiation rituals, mating rituals, whatever. It's part of their bathing technique. It's a part of their culture. And many of them do not have longer hair. But when you do have long hair and you don't perpetually cut it and you don't keep it conditioned, um, this is what will happen naturally. I don't care if you're a black dude, a white dude, an Asian dude, Latino dude, it's going to happen. And as with anything, things will take longer with an individual than another might take shorter time. Like for myself, I was looking at these timeline videos, and where I'm at right now is where some people are at a year. Other people are at in 3 months. I'm at about 2 months now. And this is where I'm at. And granted, they're not all like rock hard or whatever, and I don't really care. I have all the time in the world, and it doesn't really matter to me. If it's a humid day and they're just absolutely insane, I just put them up in a bun, put my tam on, whatever. It's just hair. I don't understand why it's such a big freaking deal for people to decide for another how their hair is and how their hair is supposed to look, and oh, you can't have dreadlocks because you're not this or that. Or because you have dreadlocks, that means that you're dirty or that you smell. Let me tell you something, okay? People that have dreadlocks need to keep amazing care of themselves because not only do we have the social stigma of being a homeless bum, or that we stink, or that we don't bathe, or anything like that. And to you folks out there that don't bathe and you don't wash your hair and you just like roll around in the mud, or you put mayonnaise in your hair, or you put honey in it and dirt and all this crazy stuff, we live in the internet age now. If you're doing these things, please, for the sake of your health, don't do that. Wash your hair. Okay? Please. There are a lot of things that can happen to your skin and to your scalp if you don't wash your hair regularly the right way. At least rinse it. Your hair is completely fine to be in water. I think the only time when you're not supposed to get it wet is if you had like an insane sunburn on your scalp or something like that, something that would be detrimental to the skin. But your hair is going to get wet anyway. It's constantly exposed to moisture. So treat your hair like you would your skin. After all, it's made of the same substances. So, um, anyway, so if you are doing that, please don't. Personally, myself and anybody else that I've ever met that has had dreadlocks, ever, washes their hair regularly, did not use anything crazy to put them in. It just happens naturally. Now, some people do use waxes to keep them together. If I had wax in my dreads, they would look a lot better now than they do aesthetically. I like the way that they look. They're very natural. I have like what do you call them, like paintbrush edges, or whatever, the paintbrush ends. But each one is individual. Each one is different. Just like each one of us are different, but fundamentally we're the same. This is a dreadlock, that's a dreadlock, this is a dreadlock, that's a dreadlock, but they all have their own little personalities, and that's the point that I'm trying to make. Everybody is different, but we're all still human. So stop it with all this racism crap, and this racist crap, and national pride crap, and well, I'm this, and I'm proud, and I'm that, and I'm proud. How about you just be proud to be you? Is that too difficult? Is that like, ooh, taboo? I don't know. If it is, whoops, I don't care. So I would just really, really appreciate it as a member of this earth and as a member of this one race of humanity, a earth citizen, shall we say. Have some respect for your fellow man, no matter, or woman, no matter what their hair looks like, no matter what their skin color looks like, no matter their color, race, creed, sexuality, marital status, whatever. I don't care. And I don't think that people should care about that kind of stuff the way that they do. And what I mean by that is by reacting violently towards another who has different tendencies than we do. That being said, thank you very much for watching Meep Radio. Um, you can contact me directly here on YouTube or send me a message at facebook.com/meeptruthradio. And yeah, have a great day.